Right, first things first, we're going to make a run file. Now, on the main menu, all you're going to do is go to your options and make sure all the options are as you want them. Vibration is optional, obviously. Play hints, you should have that off, because that will save you a bunch of time in the run, and it's a pain in the ass. Language, whatever. Graphics, center of the screen. Video mode, if you're on PAL, you want to be on 60, if you have a monitor or a TV that supports it. If you're on NTSC, then you won't have this option. Aspect ratio, either works. There are benefits and drawbacks to both of them. I use 4:3. Sound, put those to whatever, or just leave them. And then when I go new game, then pick a spot, one of these 4 slots. I go with this third one because I just do. You don't want to have it on your top file, for reasons I'll explain later. But yeah, any of the other 3, and I picked the third one. So you just do that, select yes, and then it's going to play the opening cutscene, and we're just going to restart the console. So be right back. Right, restart the console. Now if we go to load game, you will see you have a run file, whichever slot you saved in. And you can now use this for runs on, and again, this is for any console now. That is how you make your run file. Right, so to start runs on PS2, you simply just load your Geyser file, and it has to be from anywhere besides Geyser. You can't load your run file from Geyser, and I'll explain that in a minute. But you're going to load your Geyser file, and then as soon as the screen goes black, you want to pull out your memory card. So wait, screen goes black, pull it out, and I put it back in immediately, but you don't have to do that. I just think it's the most convenient time to do it. Yeah, and you'll get this screen. Jak is still in the portal, he hasn't jumped out yet, and we've got the memory card removed screen. Now, to start your runs, all you need to do is press X to select OK, and then Jak will jump out the portal and you go. Now, we recently changed timing rules, so time now starts when Jak touches the ground after jumping out of the portal. So to get your timer accurate to that, you'll need a timer delay. You see my timer says minus 1.6, so it's not going to start from 0 when I press spacebar when I start my timer. So yeah, just put a minus 1.6 delay on your timer if you've done everything as I have so far, and you'll see we start like this, and when he touches the ground it reaches 0. So that's that. The next thing to say about PS2 runs, starting them, is if you load your Geyser file, take the memory card out, and then you hold L2 or R2 to bring up the HUD, you'll see it appears for a split second, and then the memory card screen pops up. Now, that used to be a method of actually saving time, because we used to start time on pressing X to select OK, and it used to save time to bring up your HUD like that. But now, because we start time when Jak touches the ground, it doesn't save any time, so there's no point doing it really. You'll see some runners still do it because we're used to it. It's just muscle memory and we can't be bothered to change. So if you do still use that HUD strat, which again doesn't save any time anymore, then just use a minus 1.4 delay instead of a minus 1.6, like so. Now, I mentioned that you can't load your run file from Geyser, and the reason is, if you do so, remember we have to load the file and take out the memory card as soon as it turns black. So I'm doing that, and you'll see Jak's already out of the portal before the screen comes up. You can't get this screen to come up fast enough if you load from Geyser. So that is why you need to load from any other place, any other level, or from the main menu into your run file. So if you want to reset in Geyser, you just load a different level. This is why you'll see most people have a Sandover Village file, because it's like an instant load. And then you load your run file again, take the memory card out, and you'll see it pops up just as it should, and we can start our timer. Okay, now we're still on PS2, but this is going to be how to start your runs on PS3, 4, and 5. because you can do it easily on PS2 as well. So again, like with PS2, not save, we're going to load our run file. Now obviously you can't take your memory card out on PS3, 4 and 5. So you're just going to load it, and then we're going to start mashing start. And you'll see I get the start screen comes up. It will come up pretty quickly. Now what we want to do is save to the top file. This is nearly always going to be your run file on any console. Just makes the most sense. So save to your top file. So now that means your run file is not going to get destroyed as soon as you grab a power cell and the game auto saves. So if you look, we have the run file, and then we have this file here. Now all we're going to do now is unpause and start your timer at the same time. Now this works pretty similarly to PS2. Timing starts when Jak hits the ground, but the delay is a little bit different. I've got -1.55 on my timer here, but the reality is this starting method is not perfect, and it's going to be a tiny bit different every time you start your run. How long it takes Jak to touch the ground. So you can go with -1.55. You can go with anything, close to that, really. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a little bit out no matter what you do. But the reality is, if you care enough about it being that accurate, then you can just retime it properly, in which case your timer is irrelevant anyway. So I'm going to start my timer and pause at the same time. And it reaches 0 about when Jak touches the ground. And then you just go and do your run. Now, the final thing to note about PS3, 4 and 5 runs is, I told you with the PS2 runs that you can't load Geyser. You can't load your run file from Geyser, sorry, because there's not enough time for the memory card screen to pop up. But because we're not using the memory card screen on PS3, 4 and 5, you can load your run file from Geyser perfectly fine. Just start mashing start, and you see you just continue like we would normally. Save and start your timer. There you go. Right, now the last thing to talk about in this video is something we call NG Plus glitch. Now basically what happens is, if you load your run file, so if I were to load this file, if I load it while being stood in particular areas in the game world, for example, parts of Forbidden Jungle, parts of Fire Canyon, I think maybe Rock Village as well. There are just certain areas in the game that if you directly load your run file and then start a new run, once you finish Geyser and you come back out to Sandover Village, for example, you'll see there's no scout fly in this hut. Now, if I show you this, I have no scout flies in Sandover Village. I've not picked any up. This is a fresh run that I've started, and I haven't picked up anything. I've just come from Samus's hut, but there's nothing in the hut. And you'll see the same goes for fly in here. There's nothing there. Out. There's none down here as well. There's not one over there. So yeah, all of the scout flies are gone. You see all the orbs are gone as well. There's no orbs around. And this is why we call it NG Plus glitch, because it's basically like you've already completed the game, even though you loaded a fresh file. You see this orb vents already had all the orbs taken out of it. There's nothing. The cells are still there, but the scout flies and the orbs are gone completely. Now, to avoid this, all you need to do is every time you want to reset a run, just make sure you load Sandover Village. Doesn't matter what file this is. You can have any stage of completion. I have 100%. I have a 100% file here, but it could be a 0% Sandover file. Like, it doesn't matter. Just load Sandover Village. You'll spawn here, and then you load your run file. And as long as you do that every time, you'll never get NG Plus glitch, and you'll never have to worry about that happening. Because if you get NG Plus glitch, your run will be invalid, I believe, without exception. So you don't want that to happen.